It's going rough. It's a happy New Year, New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, it's going rough. I got to tell you that
Really?
talking with my doctor, rough in a semi good way, whatever. I'm a little out of it. My doctor wanted me to try taking Zoloft for my
Oh,
seasonal affective disorder. I
yeah.
have been for about 2 weeks now, and it just within the last few days, it's like the lowest dose you could possibly take. He said he wanted to try it and see if there's any ill side effects first. We were doing a phone call, I think, like the 15th of January, something like that, to discuss it. He says if there are no side effects, we'll double the dose. It's still a mild dose. It's just to try to help me with that seasonal affective disorder.
Yeah.
But so in the last few days, it started making me so tired. I slept for 10 hours the last two
Oh,
nights,
oh.
and I'm really kind of still a bit out of it. I mean, I still go to the gym and I force myself through a workout. It's really hard. So I read online that there's, probably I'll adjust to the side effects. I'll come out of it. So I'm
Right.
going to try to stick it out for like the next week. But if this doesn't get any better, I'm stopping.
Yeah.
That's completely. I do not like talking about this stuff on here because it's kind of personal. It's talking about my vulnerabilities and stuff like that. But I want to be authentic. I hope it could help. There are other people that deal with this. Nobody talks about this stuff. Very few people.
Right. Right.
So I just want to put it out there. Maybe it can, help someone else. But uh, if it can help me from spiraling into a bit of that debilitating depression during January, February, and March, it'll be worth it. So we'll see.
Yeah, and it's a tough time of the year, especially right now. Gosh, out here right around 5 o'clock, it's pitch black outside, and the days go by really quickly, and not to mention all the COVID lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. It's a good thing to check that kind of stuff out and make sure you're staying on top of mental health. I think everybody's got to look out for that right now, and you're not alone. The whole country is going through something right now.
Oh, now more than ever. And there's a lot I want to talk about there. I do want to get to talk about herd immunity. Lisa and I had a conversation about that. By the way,
yeah,
my buddy Dan and Lisa both got their vaccinations yesterday.
Did they really? Yesterday they got them. Wow.
Yeah. So Lisa was a little sick for the rest of the day.
Really?
That doesn't surprise me. She's so susceptible. She's so tiny too.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody's going to feel a little bit ill from something, it's going to be her. I haven't talked to Dan yet. He probably didn't feel anything. I doubt I will either. But anyways, I'm glad that that's getting started. This is an interesting fact. Now, the reason that she got her vaccination, and she's in the administration, she's, of a hospital. She is not on the front lines by any means. So, and she's working remotely 99% of the time. So it's like, why did she get hers? This is interesting because so many people on the front lines declined it. So the hospital was granted X amount of vaccines, and since so many of them declined it, they offered it to her and her colleagues.
Interesting. Now I have a question about that. So if someone in the medical community declines it, do they, are there repercussions for that?
That's a really good question, and I don't think so. The reason that they gave in general was, hey, we've been doing this 12 hours a day this long. We feel absolutely fine. Don't need it.
Well, it's interesting because there's such a push to immunize the population here, and the medical community, like you said, they're on the front lines. I get what they're saying, believe me, because I'm nervous about the whole thing.
Yeah,
I think that any normal person would be, but I, on the one hand, I'm glad that they have a choice and that there are no repercussions for not taking it. But on the other hand, if this is really so important, why would they be exempt from it? I don't know. It seems a little confusing.
Yeah, I know it is. There's a lot to it. There's also, of course, the politicization of it.
Right.
Um,
That's the worst part, I think.
yeah, maybe, but there's also the common sense part where this vaccine got through trials 4 times faster than any other vaccine ever.
Right.
So of course
Right.
people are a bit worried about. I get it.
It's a
But you
rush
know what?
job.
If
Right.
you want to put it into political terms, to me, and I stay away from the very divisive news. I very intentionally stay away from that. I try to look at both sides and go down the middle. But so if you want
That's
to talk,
hard.
it's harder than ever today. But if you want to put it in political terms, I say it's the patriotic thing to do, to get your vaccine. I think it's a brave thing to do. It's rather selfless, and I'm going to get it as soon as it's available to me for that
I
reason.
understand what you're saying, and a lot of people have positioned it that way, and I get it. I get why they're saying that, and but we've had so many situations where something seems safe, and then 3 years later we find out, oh, you shouldn't have taken that. That causes cancer, and we just with the exactly what you just pointed out, which is it rushed through. We just don't know. We don't know. So we don't
Well,
know what we don't know, and that's why people are nervous. So when you say it's a patriotic thing to do, some people have a problem with that.
yeah, well, Lisa just told me this morning that her boss was having this conversation with, more of their like cafeteria help, janitorial people, they're not getting it. And she's
Right.
talking to them and asking them why, whereas the administrators have been kind of behind it. And she says, so what's the difference? So she's asking people. And one person said that, well, I heard that, you could possibly die from this thing. And no one has yet. And she said, you know what I heard? And the person goes, what? And she goes, I heard nearly 400,000 people died of COVID. So that's a really good point right there. And so it gets us to the conversation about herd immunity. And Lisa asked me a few days ago, what is herd immunity? And I was reaching back into a podcast that I listened to with Brett Weinstein. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He is a very interesting guy, a biologist, and there's a whole nother story I want to talk about with him someday about how he got cancel cultured out of his job. And he's a liberal, but he got canceled by the left for not being progressive enough from a university. But he was talking about the herd immunity, and I recall him saying that it was around 50% that we would hit herd immunity. And for some reason, I was telling Lisa back a few days ago, I've done my research since, and I said, I think what this means is that we will start adapting the antibodies to this. Like we'll start sensing that virus is around us, and we'll start naturally adapting. Once we hit 50%, either immunization or actually having had COVID, which are
Right.
And I was wrong. That is not it. And by the way, that what's his name, Fauci, has been waffling back and forth on this, saying that he thinks he used to say it would be 70 to 75% when we hit
75% what?
Of either you get vaccinated or you've had COVID.
Oh, this has been a big controversy.
It has. And I want to clarify all of this. Okay. I think it's really important. And first, having the vaccine or having had COVID is the same thing. And yeah, there are a lot of questions around this, and there's still some mystery. We don't know everything. Still,
well, let me just jump in, because I just saw a report yesterday, and it had to deal with the amount of vaccinations we've had since it's been released, and I'm hearing that it's around 2 million now. Yeah. And so this they were shooting for 20 million by this time. Yeah. So they're behind. Mm-hmm. But the interesting part of the article was that since the time of the rollout, about 3,000 additional cases have happened. And as a result, COVID is immunizing the population faster than our vaccination is.
And that's
I
fine.
thought that was a pretty interesting little stat right there.
No, it is, and that's absolutely fine. And for the people that are afraid of getting the vaccination, decline it and all that, fine, get COVID. I don't care. That's absolutely fine with me too. I said before,
Well,
I'm not afraid of getting COVID myself.
well, when you take a look at the statistics of a person your age and in your health with no comorbidities, your risk is extremely low
Mm-hmm.
to get
Mm-hmm.
COVID. However, it is sort of a bit of glorified Russian roulette, because there have been the occasional person that it doesn't make any sense. They get it, they're perfectly healthy, and they die.
Mm-hmm.
So we've heard that before, but that's extremely rare.
Rare and respiratory disorders,
We're hearing
permanent.
right
It can
now,
happen.
we're hearing that it's very comparable to the flu if you are
Yeah.
in those non-vulnerable categories.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the way I see it as well. And
Right,
we've
right,
talked about before the thousands of people every year that die of the common flu every year.
right. Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, well, here's something interesting I heard this week, is that something like, oh boy, I wish I had the article in front of me right now, but it was some crazy number about the flu this year. And the CDC has come out and said, wow, it's really weird, but the flu numbers are way down. By this time last year, we had like 35,000 flu cases, but this year
of course.
we've only got like 1,000. And it's
Well, of
like,
course.
well, could it be that we're conflating COVID and the flu together? I don't know.
I don't know. But of course, flu cases are down. We're running around with masks on when we are running around.
And we're also hearing about the effectiveness of masks as well, and also the spike being in at the exact same time that the flu season starts. Everyone knows when flu season starts. Surprisingly, the flu numbers are down, but COVID numbers are up. So there's a lot of suspicion around this. There just is. Nobody knows.
There's a
The
lot.
experts that say that they know, they like you said, Fauci's moved around on this. The experts don't know 100% either. We're all, this is I don't think there are real experts around this. We're all finding out this all at the same time. It's interesting to me.
Yeah, there's a lot of waffling. There's seems to be this unwritten rule in Western medicine that it's always better to err on the side of caution to the point of extreme. What bothers me about this, we've talked about it before, is I think it's kind of a bit of a theme to this show, because there's a lot of other things I want to talk about too. It's inauthenticness. How do you say it?
I think you said it right.
Inauthenticity.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And now more than ever, people sense it. People sniff out when you're being inauthentic. And it's really, what I started the show talking about that Zoloft stuff because I wanted to be authentic. I wanted to be honest, and people appreciate that. It could help people. When Fauci says originally that he believes that 70 to 75%, that is when we hit herd immunity, and I wanted to define herd immunity here in a bit. He said that was when 50% of people polled said that they would probably take the vaccine. Well, in a new poll, 60%, it goes up by 10%, 60% now say they're willing to take it. So he decided, and quote, I thought I could nudge this up a bit. And he upped it to 85% because of that. He just admitted that he's being inauthentic. Well, if 60% so they'll take it, then I'll nudge it up to, we need 85%. And so maybe he's going to fool more people into it.
I don't like
BS.
that.
No, nobody likes it. It's a wrong way to go. Be completely honest about this, and then people will trust you. So he's building distrust in that regard. But okay, so I want to talk about what herd immunity is. I thought it was a threshold of the population where people would naturally start building their own antibodies to it because your body would sense this disease being around. That is not the case. It's really quite simple. It's the threshold of when the virus has nowhere else to go.
Right.
Yes.
Exactly. That's exactly what herd immunity is. And that's the way it's worked the entire time. We deal with this all the time, right? That's why you get a flu shot all the time because we developed herd immunity to certain strains of the flu, and it metastasizes. I don't know if that's the right word, but
it sounds good.
Change. Yeah, it did sound good. But they change into other strains and whatever.
Yeah.
Metastasize.
Hey, how about the new mutant super strain?
Oh my God. So that's the thing, is that it seems like they've got some marketing people out there. Like,
They do.
What would really scare the living daylights out of people? I don't. How about a super spreader, super strain? You're gonna get them now, baby. Well, this is the part that makes it where, it's like the boy who cried wolf. It's you hear the Fauci story, and they start, but now there's a super strain. Wear the mask. Don't wear the mask. We've heard so many things. Your head is spinning, and then it's like, well, we're used to these guys lying to us anyhow all our lives, so now we just don't trust when they say. It's almost like when you watch the news. When I watch the news now, I'm always trying to read between the lines. What did that really mean when they said that?
Yeah,
they've made us they've turned us into this. It's too bad.
Right.
I want to go back to Lisa though. She took the vaccination. Was she scared beforehand? Because I would have been.
Yeah, she was. Yeah. We talked a lot about it, and she definitely was, but just did it because she thought it was the right thing to do. We discussed it. We both were very sure about that. We didn't waffle on it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and I still say that it should. My personal opinion is that it should be an individual choice. I don't think that you should be forced to take it. I personally think that's what's going to happen, though, is that people are going to be forced to take it. It seems like it's leading that way. And it's interesting to me, though, to find out, well, the healthcare workers weren't forced to. So maybe I'm wrong.
Let me ask you this. So, in recent years, there's been a lot of debate about our common vaccines that we've taken for granted that have wiped out polio and all kinds of other things, measles. Doesn't it seem like there's a lot of people that aren't getting their kids vaccinated? So that's not issued by law, apparently. That's my question. Is there a law?
Well, here's the thing is that with my kids, I know when they moved from Ohio to California, they had to take certain vaccinations that weren't required in Ohio in order to be able to be enrolled in school. So while it wasn't a law that they had to take the vaccinations, if they didn't take the vaccination, then they were pretty much outcasts from society.
Well, okay. So that's
what I'm concerned is going to happen
by
here.
state.
Right. Yeah. And it's always, all these kinds of things are state by state when it comes to healthcare. And, but I really feel like something like that's going to happen. Like, for instance, people that are out of work, when they come back into work, there's going to be some requirement that they get tested. And I think they're going to fudge, like Fauci said, they're going to figure out ways to make it so you got to take the vaccination.
They will. You know what they'll do? I just thought this through. Is the federal government always does this? They'll withhold funding for certain medical stuff if your state decides not to follow through on that law.
Yeah, there's lots of ways the federal government can put pressure on you to do things that you don't actually want to do. And that's a lot of that has to do with reimbursements, or it really revolves around revenue and taxes. That's their biggest strength.
Okay, I just want to just clarify a final few things about the vaccine and COVID that people have not been sure about, including myself. So I did some research, and talking about Fauci waffling from 70 to 75% up to 85%. This is all in a video, which I will have the link for in the show notes.
Oh, cool.
And it's just like 2 days old.
Hey, good work.
By the end of the video, the interviewer got him in a corner to say, so then you're really saying that you believe it's 75 to 8, somewhere in between 75 and 85% needed vaccinated or have COVID before we hit herd immunity. And he's like, yeah, I agree to that. So he waffles all over the place on that. And I just wanted to clarify. So a lot of people are wondering, when are us common folk going to be able to get vaccinated? And he says he believes by March to April. And the hope is that we hit this magic number of 75% to 85% vaccination or COVID, or having had COVID by the end of the summer. So that would mean we can finally put this in our rearview mirror by the end of the summer. But for me, there's a lot more hope going forward before that. When, man, as long as the elderly and our frontline people have got the vaccination, I'm breathing a lot easier as a society. I'm not worried about passing it on to my loved ones at that point if they're vaccinated. So for me, I feel a lot better about everything at that point. And I think we can open stuff up, in my opinion.
Well, there's some things
And it's
that we
voluntary.
don't. There's some things we don't know, though, at this point. One is we don't know for sure whether or not you can get it again after you've had it.
There's been one or two cases of people that have gotten it twice.
We've seen that and we've heard that. And I always have, again, I always have a bit of suspicion. Did they really get it twice? Did they have something else first or whatever? You know, I think about that kind of stuff. But if you take that out to the next step is, what if you get the vaccination and 3 months later you contract COVID? So, you know, are we out of the woods? I don't know if we can say we are with the vaccination. I don't know. I think we're going to find out. Mm-hmm. But I go back to, is this pandemic, so-called pandemic, as dangerous as they're saying that it is for the majority of people? And I think that that even though these things might happen where, let's say, for instance, you can get it more than once, I think we're going to have to really look at adjusting to the fact that the economy's got to open up, and that we need to be more focused on the people that have the vulnerabilities and focus on them and helping them out, rather than the people like me and you that don't have comorbidities. We're not in the vulnerable place, and those people can kind of move on with their lives. I'm hoping to see that kind of common sense thinking going forward, because I don't think everybody's going to get the vaccination. And I wonder about that 70 to 85%. That's a lot of people. And as we're seeing the polls, that, you know, something around 50-60% are saying they're willing to take it. So there's a gap there.
Yeah, I'm hopeful about it. I want to clear up one final thing. A lot of people are wondering, does the vaccine protect people from getting COVID-19? I said that a bit wrong. How come we still have to wear a mask if we're vaccinated? We don't know. We don't know. That's the honest answer. We don't know if getting the vaccine prevents you from spreading, because could you still spread via it's vapor? How do you
droplets?
Yeah, water droplets. So yeah, we just don't know if getting the vaccine prevents you from spreading it. So we are still urged to wear a mask even after vaccination.
I even think that the science isn't conclusive on if you're asymptomatic that you can actually pass the disease over to other people. I think there's still questions on that as well. I mean, there's just a lot of questions that are still out there that have not been answered, or that we've gotten double answers on. One way we see it this way, and another scientist will come back and say, nope, it's that way. And that's what it comes down to, is this whole believe the science and science deniers kind of thing, where it becomes this politicized type of thing. I heard Nancy Pelosi speaking about the stimulus package last week, and she said that there's a lot of talk from her colleagues that are religious, and they tell her that, well, they don't believe the science because they believe God. And her advice to them is, well, you know, you shouldn't have to make a choice. You can believe in both. And it says, you know, she said the science found the vaccination, and it was an answer to prayer. And whenever Nancy Pelosi starts to get into her religion talk, my head's always spinning like, what? And she went on to say how the other party and the Trump administration are science deniers, and they're full of quackery, and they didn't take this seriously. But wait, didn't you just say that the vaccination was an answer to prayer? Wasn't it Warp Speed that found that?
Yeah, I don't get that stuff.
Well, first off, let me clear up one thing.
Yeah.
If I'm a Christian. In my view, God invented science. Science didn't invent God. God is a God of science. So science and God are not at odds with each other. And I don't think that most religious people would say, whether they're Christians or another religion would say, I only believe God. I don't believe in science. Nobody says that. The crackpots say that.
I know, and that was my point. This is like a thing for them that I only discovered a few months ago. I remember telling you that I seen, how far left my area is, and I've been seeing these signs that made all these statements that were leftist statements about believe in Black Lives Matter, believe in this, and then it said, and we believe science is real. And that was the first time I was like, what the hell does that mean?
Science is real? I'm against that. Who would say that?
So what you're implying that there's a half of this population that denies science. And as you said, the Trump administration just did this Operation Warp Speed to get this vaccine out. So how do you compute that? How does that work in your head?
I don't understand that, where if you're a Nancy Pelosi fan and she says that you could be okay with that. Like, yeah, that's right. Like, that's obviously not right.
Right. I don't understand it. I wanted to back up a bit and just get back to kind of more intro type stuff. I didn't tell you about what happened to the Browns last weekend.
I heard about it.
COVID got us.
Yeah, it took all your good players out.
Yeah, it took the entire took the entire receiving core out. And so the game plan is out. And I said this early in the season. I said I could totally see COVID. Now, my theory is that COVID would wipe out the entire playoffs as Cleveland got good.
Yeah, we talked about this early in the season, that once they started winning, we were like, uh-oh, COVID's coming.
Yep. And that
at is the end of the season.
Yeah. And so the Jets was like a right in the bag kind of a game. And if we had those receivers, it would have been. They nearly pulled it off as it was, which would be miraculous. These are professional football players. I mean, So the Jets had struggled this year. They had a lot of close games. They're better than their record shows.
Yeah.
And so you take out your entire your starters,
your Air Force.
Yeah. So anyways, so here we are. That was the game that would have put us in the playoffs. Now our backs are up against the wall. Comes down to Pittsburgh on Sunday. This is the playoff game.
All right. So they got whooped by Pittsburgh earlier in the season, and so it comes down. This is the last game of the season, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what a fantastic finish for Cleveland.
Or not.
And how well, even okay, let's just say this. I hope that they win and go on to the playoffs, but how exciting to end your season against Pittsburgh, and it's do or die.
Yeah.
And Pittsburgh's got a good team. Cleveland, you guys had your COVID thing, but everybody's back. From what I understand, they're back in practice today. That's what I heard. And that the Browns are going to be able to put their best foot forward against the Steelers this Sunday, and they've got a real fighting chance of winning this. Now, my understanding is they win and they go on to the playoffs. If they lose, they're not necessarily out if they lose, but
need a lot of help.
Chances are diminished.
Something like three other teams that are vying for the wild card spot, would have to lose. So it's basically do or die. Yeah.
So I didn't know anything about this until yesterday. My friend Tim and I he was reaching out to me about that movie on Netflix that you've been recommending. He was asking me
Social Dilemma.
Yeah. He'd asked me if I'd seen it yet. And I'm like, God, how do I get to see that? You might have to record that for me on a DVR or something.
I'm sure you could pay $4 for it and rent it from like Amazon Prime or something.
Yeah, I'll have to look in. I want to see it. But he then at the end he said, "I feel sorry for Barry about the Browns," and I was like, "What? The Browns?" And so then I looked it all up and read all about it and everything. And I'm like, "Oh man!" So you have fans out there, Barry, that are fans of you. And by proxy, they're fans of the Browns as well.
Spreading the love. Well, here's what I'll say.
Or the depression. I don't know.
Here is what I'll say for sure is even if they lose this and don't go to the playoffs, that would be so like old Browns kind of stuff. It's true. I in my head, I literally feel like that curse is still just got a little bit of a finger grip on the Browns yet.
Yeah.
And so that could happen.
I don't think that's ever going to end.
I don't know. I think it's
at least in my mind, it's never going to end, right?
I know. But so even if they lose and they don't go to the playoffs, and that would seem so old Browns, I'm still fine because this team far exceeded my expectations this year. And we got our coach and we got our quarterback.
How about that quarterback, huge. Boy? I mean, he's still a very young guy. Yes. You've got a great backfield there.
Yes.
Well, you've got a team that if they don't make it this year, they've got a lot of good years in front of them.
Yes.
And if they make the playoffs, this will be the first time in 18 years.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's
the main thing is like
18 years.
Our defense has so many holes in it. So we did so much to put together a terrific offense, just a juggernaut of an offense. But our defense has made almost every game interesting because there's so many holes in it and injuries. So think this offseason through the draft and maybe a free agent or two, we're going to concentrate on the defense. Next year looks very, very – dude, we're going to be talking Super Bowl next year. Absolutely.
It's so funny, though, Barry, because it's like being from Cleveland, this is every year we have this conversation, right? And next year, it's going to be so great.
Yeah, but those
just get some good draft picks.
But that's coming off of 5-11 seasons every year. True. Now, this is either going to be 10-6.
I said the same thing after the fumble, the drive, and, next year. And then, so
it's a different team. We got – but we haven't had a coach like this. And Belichick cut his teeth here. Marty Schottenheimer was awesome. But he couldn't get you to the championship.
He couldn't. He got you to the championship game.
And then
didn't get past that. Yeah. Prevent defense. It kills me. Stop it. Stop with the prevent. Try to win the game.
Let's stop doing what made us successful in this game and change how we're doing it.
Exactly. It would be like, let's dust off this playbook now. We haven't used this since we lost the last time.
Very true. Very true. All right. Finally, I want to talk about, we didn't talk about Christmas. It seems like a long time ago now.
It does, actually.
And we took a picture, as I said, of our spread. And I want to share that with you because we really did up our dinner. Lisa really did it up. She made this amazing eggplant parmesan. And I mean, really amazing with this expensive Italian cheese and stuff. And then I did what I call my nearly world famous chicken fingers, but she calls them chicken cutlets because she thinks it sounds more sophisticated. So it was eggplant parmesan, which means you got the pasta with the sauce and everything. And that was absolutely terrific. She's Sicilian. This girl can cook. So salad, and she made tiramisu.
Oh, she did.
Yeah.
I like tiramisu.
It's my favorite dessert by far because it's not sweet. I don't really like sweet. I'm going to also mention that her pasta, she is gluten intolerant. And so we have to use rice pasta and even gluten-free breadcrumbs for the chicken fingers, cutlets, whatever. And I like both of those better than the regular stuff.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the rice pasta, when I eat regular pasta and I just gorge on it, I can't help myself. I get so full. Like for 2 days, I'm just stuffed. And this stuff, it's just a lot it seems a lot lighter to me. And the chicken fingers, the way they fry so evenly and golden and crispy, way better than the clumpy stuff when you use the regular breadcrumbs.
Oh, you're talking about the air fryer? Or
No, we did it. I did it in lightly fried in olive oil.
Oh, okay.
In a pan. We debated going. I wanted to try the air fryer because I haven't done the chicken fingers yet. The fish came out so good, so good.
That's right.
But Lisa just wanted to do it more traditionally, so that's
Gotcha.
what we did. Absolutely incredible. We also on Christmas got hit with a ton of snow. Like,
Oh, I remember the pictures. Your house looked beautiful.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to share that picture to try to show people it's unbelievable how much snow that we got so quickly. And I have 2 driveways to maintain. You know,
Oh, you do? Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
So
serious.
that's what I did on Christmas. Remember, our snowblower bit the dust last so I by hand I shoveled both of these, and I gotta tell you, once I get going, I actually kind of enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's great exercise.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's getting myself out there. It's just like, put it
psych
off.
yourself up to get out there, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
On Christmas, let alone.
Yeah, and so that is like 2 weeks ago, we got hit exactly the same way, like 18 inches all at once.
Wow.
So, God, I hope this doesn't continue throughout this winter.
Yeah, well, it's starting off pretty strong for you guys.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
we didn't, obviously in Southern California, there's no white Christmases here, but this week we got a ton of rain.
Oh, I heard. It's don't you every time
well, in
this
the
time
winter
of year,
time it rains, but it's always sort of like shocking because I think the last time I saw rain was before March. So, I mean, it just has not rained out here. And, we did have a good rainy season last year. So at the beginning in the spring, everything was so green and there were flowers all over the place. It was beautiful.
Nice.
But then it didn't rain at all. And now everything's dry as a bone. I mean, it's just dust flying all over the place. It's like the Old West, tumbleweeds are bouncing around and everything. And then suddenly the sky just opened up for like all night long. Thunder even. I've only heard thunder out here a couple times.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
We had thunder. It was great. It was like 2 times we heard thunder, but that was cool for me. And lots of rain. Now out here, when it rains for the first time, people get nervous, especially in the areas in the hilly areas that have recently had wildfires, because that's when the mudslides happen. So we have weird stuff. We have mudslide season. We have fire season. We got earthquake season. Not really, but it's weird. It's weird because okay, so here's an interesting thing. Out here, people will say, it's real balmy out here. It's earthquake weather. They actually believe that there's earthquake weather out here.
I don't know. Like, could there be?
I mean, anything's possible, right? Like I can't say that it's not possible, but I question that. Like,
it sounds a little
how
silly.
could the weather spur the earth to shake like that? I don't get that.
All right.
But they said, "Oh, get ready." Okay, whatever. Thank God we really haven't had, since I've lived here, we haven't had any big earthquakes. But man, when that ground moves, it is it is a come to Jesus moment.
I bet it is. You wonder when it's going to stop. Hey, so it's New Year's. Praying. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I don't really have any new. We talked about this last year. I typically don't make New Year's resolutions because of my success rate New Year's, and then it kind of screws up my New Year's, because then I'm like, this is the last day that I can XYZ, whatever, So I typically I make goals for myself, but I've constantly avoided the typical I'm gonna drop 20 pounds or I'm gonna go to the gym with the rest of the herd that goes to the gym on January 2nd. Oh, so do I. And then especially, if you're the gym guy, you've been going all this time, and then suddenly you can't get on a machine, and there's all these people, and they're not there to work out. They're just there to like
They're looking
be
at their
seen and
phones.
looking at other people. Yeah, exactly. And they're there for, the first couple of weeks, and then you can finally get your stuff back.
By week 3, it's over.
They're out. They're out.
Yeah.
That's funny. But and it's funny because, like you said, week 3, that's where you formulate the habit.
Yep.
But they've already pulled.
Can't make it, and they're at the finish line and they give up. Yeah.
I've done it myself, so I know how it goes.
Yeah.
But
so
how about you?
I feel the same as you. I don't really. I've never been one to really make New Year's resolutions. Maybe I'll just say to myself, I'm going to try a little harder in this area or whatever. I'm going to do the dry January thing again. Because that's just important for me, because it's such a dark month. I thought it worked out for me pretty well last year with the whole seasonal affective disorder thing. So getting up tomorrow, January 2nd, being Saturday seems better. But if it's like a Tuesday, January 2nd, something like that, it's like, ugh, it's the worst. We have this buffer period here.
Yeah, because then it's like the next day you got to go to work and you're thinking about that all day. It's almost like the whole day.
It's just a grind.
And I've had those times where I went to the New Year's Eve party the day before and I was hungover on New Year's Day.
Yeah.
That is a terrible way to start the new year.
It is.
Don't do it.
Don't
do it.
Right.
But this year's different. I mean, there's
different.
The New Year's parties and everything. Times Square. No one's going to be there for Times Square this year.
Right.
That's wild, right?
Everything's weird. It's kind of why I asked you, because this is a weird year. And even like with the gym, I think it's people that don't go to the gym but want to make a New Year's resolution to go to the gym are looking for half an excuse not to. Well, so I don't expect that rush this year, because they have every excuse not to go. So
they really do.
Thank God for that. At least there's a positive there. So what it does for resolutions, everybody's life is kind of still upside down. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, we're still trying to get, how do we do this COVID lockdown thing? At least that's how it is. I mean, we get to the weekends here, Anne Marie and I, and we're like, hey, what do you want to do today? And we're like, well, what can we do? I mean, we've already done that one thing that we can do. So I don't know. It's crazy. Hey, I had a couple of things, a couple of fun things I thought we could take.
Cool. I got one too. Go ahead.
But I was thinking, as we're here at the end of the year, that we could take a look back on some things and look at what did you think the best movie that you saw this year, or maybe the best book, or the most memorable moment. Do you have any answers to any of those?
Jeez, I wish you would have gave me a heads up on that.
I have more. How about we start with this? Accomplishments that you're proud of in 2020.
Oh, well, right off the top of my head, because I just put that case study together from my dentist.
That was big.
I killed it on that, and it's a great case study to share. So I'm really proud of that, and it's just important for me moving forward too. And I am right now working on my proposal for my law firm to do the same thing for them.
Oh, so, good for you. That's exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. That's fun stuff.
Good work. Good work. How about your favorite show that you discovered in 2020 on television?
I guess I think it was 2020 I discovered Ozark.
And, you were talking about that last week.
Yeah, and we're going to watch a few episodes today. Our goal, Lisa's always got a goal. So our goal is to catch up, finish season 3 through this weekend. And then we're caught up. Season 4 is going to come out probably in the spring, and that's the last and final season. And I said this before, I respect that so much from the producers, because it's artistic integrity. They're just going to go out on top, leave you hanging before they start jumping the shark and ruining the legacy of it, which is what everybody does, because you got a cash cow.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been certain shows or series that have been in the past that they did that. They ended, and everybody was like, "Oh no!"
Breaking Bad.
But it was the best that they. Yeah, Breaking Bad's another one. Which I've been told wouldn't be a good show for me.
No, yeah, Scott told you not to watch it. That's funny. I'd say I agree with that. So then we can contrast that with The Walking Dead. They've been milking that thing for 10 years longer than they should have.
Oh,
And
really?
oh, they've totally ruined. I used to like that show. I quit watching it about 3 years ago because it was just rehashing the same thing over and over again. Now they got 2 other spinoffs of it. So I don't know. Oh, I did just read that they finally, I mean, do you even know of The Walking Dead?
I don't
Zombie
actually. It sounds like
apocalypse.
some zombies. Yep, there
Yeah,
you go.
yeah, yeah. Well,
But
they finally,
these are the okay. Let me just because there's 2 types of zombies, and one of them is ridiculous to me, the old-fashioned zombie. But the newer zombies are horrifying.
well,
The
yeah.
fast-moving, super strong zombies.
Oh, no, no, no. These are rather slow, but they're just persistent. Um, that they
That
finally
sounds
came
funny.
out with, I know, persistent.
Persistent dead people.
Yeah. So they finally came out with the explanation. So that's why I quit watching, because it's like, well, there's no end in sight here. They're never even telling you what it is. How did this start? Where did it come from? And is there an end to this? Well, they finally, the creator, just a couple days ago on Twitter, said that the theory that has been the speculation that's been going around for a long time is true. It is an alien virus that I believe came in through a meteor or something like
It's
that.
always an alien virus.
Yeah, yeah,
One
yeah.
of these days we're going to have to stop those alien viruses.
I know. Well, it's interesting
It's almost as
because
bad as COVID.
on the show, see, everybody has the virus. It's not like you simply get bitten and then you turn into a zombie. That does happen.
How
It's
interesting.
as soon as you die,
You just turn
change.
into a zombie.
Yeah. So
You have no
you got to
choice.
take the brain out. You got to stab them in the head.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What a brutal
It's a pretty brutal show. But the show, what its popularity is about, it's the human condition. What would truly happen in a survival? It's not so much about zombies anymore. It's about the survival.
I see.
So these tribes, people develop these tribes. They start trying to develop cities, and then they attack each other, and that's what it's about.
Wow.
It's about what's that? Children of the Flies or whatever. Remember that?
Children of the Corn?
No.
Oh, Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the Flies. Yeah. I combined the two.
Children of the Flies.
Okay. So, wait a minute. We didn't finish up with yours. So you said, how about a favorite movie? What's your favorite movie of 2020?
Well, it was more of a
show.
favorite show. It was Perry Mason, and it was
right.
that show. It was a mini series on HBO, and they only played 1 season. And it's a spinoff from the old Perry Mason show that was on television, the series. But boy, did they do a great job! It was like cliffhanger every single time. I think there was only like 15 episodes, and we couldn't wait to see it the next week. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it is.
You have that show where you just can't wait to see it the next week, and then so the season ended, and we're hearing rumors that they've got another season queued up, but then it was in the middle of COVID, and so I don't know if they're ever going to show it again, but it sure was fun to be able to watch that show.
Yeah, that sounds great. Another show that I really liked, and I would say I probably discovered it in 2019, and I'm going to get Lisa on the premiere and see if it catches on with her. I think it will. Justified. And stars Timothy Oliphant, who I really like. I think that he's got a lot of presence. And it's just a fantastic show. It's like a modern day Western. I'll just tell you the premise quickly. So this is a guy from Kentucky, and he in the backwoods of Kentucky. He hated the town he grew up in. I forget the name of it. Small hillbilly town. And so when he got older, he became a marshal. And he got transferred intentionally out to Miami. He loved it in Miami. Wears his cowboy hat. He's known. Everybody knows him as that cop with the cowboy hat. Yeah, and the boots. And in the premiere, he goes into this swanky restaurant outdoors, on a patio, typical Miami high-end restaurant, and sits down across from this gangster guy. And he goes something like, you got 60 seconds to leave Miami. And the guy is like, or what? You're going to shoot me? He goes, I just might. And then, so the guy starts talking. And he goes, now you got 30 seconds. And so it goes, and then it's like, now you got 10 seconds. And this is the opening minutes of this show, the premiere. And at 5, 4, 3, the guy, as he hoped, goes to pull his gun and he shoots him dead right there in the middle of this restaurant. So next thing you know, he's on trial. The star of the show, the marshal. He's on trial for shooting this guy in the restaurant. And it's like, well, he pulled the gun on me first. So it's just kind of, he created. So he gets demoted back to his hometown in Kentucky. And that's what the whole show is about. So he's back in this backwoods town in Kentucky, and Kentucky is like a character of the show. It's so backwoods and hillbilly. So it's like a modern day Western. It's really like remote. It's so good. The characters in it, the best actors. It's one of those shows where I had to look up like every character because I'm like, that dude is so good. They had to truly drag him out of the woods and put him out on here. And no, it's some classically trained actor,
Right.
It's so good. So I want to try.
And what was the name of it again?
Justified.
Okay, that sounds kind of interesting, actually.
So good, yeah.
Speaking of that, I saw a great movie just the other night, and it was out in 2016. It had Keanu Reeves in it, and it was called The Whole Truth. And Keanu Reeves is this attorney, and I love those kind of movies where it's an attorney and there's sort of a mystery around what happened, but it's this kid murdered his father. And Keanu Reeves is his attorney, and the kid won't speak. I mean, he hasn't spoken since the murder. And Keanu's like, come on, kid, you're going to go to jail for life if you don't start talking to me so I can help you. So it's one of those movies where you're like, that kid did it. And then you start thinking, wait, maybe somebody else did it. No, she did it. No, wait a second. He did. Oh, yeah, that guy's guilty. And then at the end of the movie is a complete surprise. It's one of those kind of movies that's very gripping and engaging, and you're completely like taken by surprise at every turn. I thought it was really well done. It was called The Whole Truth. Keanu Reeves, 2006. I'd never heard of it either.
2006, did you say?
16. Yeah.
I want to see that. What did you see it on?
I think I saw it on HBO, and I just got to say, I think Keanu Reeves he's really been a pretty darn good actor all these years.
It's funny. There's a lot of debate about that, whether he's a good actor or not, because he's criticized for being very wooden a lot. But one thing is for sure is that he's always he's held in very high regard, high esteem.
Well, he's in a lot of good movies, that's for sure.
But
well-written movies.
He's supposed to be a really good guy. There's always little stories that come out about.
Oh, that's cool. Deeds. I like to hear that kind of stuff. Okay, I got another one. All right, so every year at the end of the year, they always, it seems like, as you're watching the year in review, they always go through, here's all the people that died that are celebrities. Are there any that stick out to you this year that passed on to the other side of the river?
I can't think of any off the top of
my head. Big one for me was Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, for sure. See, I just couldn't think of him. You're catching me by surprise.
I know. I'm doing that on purpose. But
Eddie Van Halen was a shock.
Well, the reason it was such a shock was because it was like this sudden realization of your age.
You're right.
Like, wait a second. They showed a picture of Eddie Van Halen. He was all gray and everything. He's still good, but still, he like this real all gray, goatee and everything. I'm like, what? That's Eddie Van. No, he doesn't have hair like that.
Right. No, we're used to the long hair and the big smile.
Just playing that guitar. And yesterday, Marianne from Gilligan's Island passed away.
I saw that. She
was my favorite.
The Marianne or Ginger.
Yeah, I like Marianne.
Yeah, that kind of made me very sad because there goes another piece of our childhood,
Yeah, and for me also, Anne Marie gets Marianne all the time. Like,
sure.
Hi, I'm Anne Marie. Oh, hi, Marianne. But for me, she's a lot like Marianne. Like there's so many qualities about. Yes, she's the wholesome, beautiful type of a person, and I just adore her. And so, that reminded me of that. I had two others. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, of course.
Right.
Wasn't a big fan of hers, but what a tremendous impact that she's made on
Yes.
America, on just, women, and just, forging ahead. And also what a big stir that caused when she died. That was a big moment. And the last one was Herman Cain. And we lost him to COVID, which was a complete shock. He was in that movie, Uncle Tom, which was one of my favorite movies over the last year. And he was perfectly healthy, and boom, gone.
Yeah, very true. I have a gossipy one that
Okay.
I mentioned before about the inauthenticness being something of a theme here, because this is about 2 days ago. This news broke that, if I say her name right, Hilaria Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's wife.
Oh, Hilaria. Wow.
Well, her given name was Hillary. And so it came out, she's on Twitter once again talking about her Spanish heritage. And so apparently she's been rocking this whole, I'm a Spanish person that moved here at 19 years old. And she's talking with this accent most of the time, this Spanish accent. And a couple of her high school classmates came out and said, this is a lie. I went to high school with you and you did not have that accent back then. And you were Hillary. So, total bust. Total bust.
She's got an accent and everything.
Dude, I got a link here. I'll put in the show notes to the YouTube video of her on the Today Show doing this cooking show kind of thing. And she does the whole, how you say cucumber.
That's hilarious. What fake lives these people live.
I know. So I don't know. I'll say this, like I said this to Lisa, I didn't really know who she was, other than I recall seeing her mentioned in a headline here and there as a famous yoga instructor, something like that. So she does wellness and healthy stuff. So Lisa really likes her and says she seems like a great person. She's certainly a very workaholic type. But I think obviously she just likes the spotlight. It's one of those kind of things. But I don't know. I never liked Alec Baldwin. He seems like a very toxic person.
Yeah, he really does. And like, remember those recordings of the conversation with his daughter? Oh, those were like, you talk to your daughter like that?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah, he seems.
I can't even. My daughter is so. I cannot even imagine having words with my daughter like that.
No, and he's been brushes with the law for assault and stuff like that. With
that's right.
People, I remember he was on an airline, wouldn't put his phone away because he was playing a game. He's just arrogant as hell.
Oh, that's right. I remember
all of that. He's toxic. He's a total narcissist. And then he does that Trump impersonation on SNL.
I know,
which is terrible. It's an awful impersonation. And I heard a comedian explain it as, because people are like, he's not funny. Why is he on there? And that's kind of like
Saturday Night Live isn't funny anymore.
The degradation of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And a comedian explained it like, when comedy comes from hate, it's never funny. And that explained.
It's funny because it's funny. I do a lot of studying on history and also socialism and communism. And the funny thing is, the first thing that happens is that comedy becomes not funny anymore.
No,
they're not funny people. They can't joke. They have a hard time. They have a hard time just relaxing.
Hey, so back to this. I want to just wrap this up so we can move on to.
Yeah.
So the Hilaria Baldwin, Hillary. So they are now, her and Alec are on Twitter and on video and stuff trying to downplay this and can't figure out why everyone's so upset when she's saying she's walking everything back. Well, she's listed on all of her bios, like IMMD or whatever that's called, and her management bios that she was born in Mallorca, came here at 19. She has this all over the place, and now she's denying that and can't understand what all of the hubbub is about. They're both on video saying this left and right. Now she doesn't have an accent, and and this
is probably Donald Trump's fault.
And Yeah, I'll bet you that's going there. And this is what all I want to say is it's because of the inauthenticity.
Yeah, they're
People
inauthentic.
hate that.
Yes,
People
they
hate that.
do. They
So
it's so. This is such a rule of life for everything you do.
yeah.
Everything, just be you.
Yeah. So I don't know. I hope that she actually survives this. This is an age of cancel culture and people love doing this. I do hope, because she does seem like a great person. Now, I don't know about this whole public lie stuff. I don't know where I stand on that. But if she's a good person and she's helping people, I hope that she can find her way through it. That's really what I want to say.
Yeah, I think the best advice is like, just be yourself through this whole thing. Just be to turn into the authentic person, and people are either going to embrace you or they won't, but that's your best chance right there. Hey, before we wrap up, I listed out some things, the year in review for news. I just listed out some things here because when I look back on 2020, I thought, holy cow, what a year we had. I mean, but if
where do you start?
If just one of these things had happened this year, it would have been like, man, then what an incredible year. But all of these things happened in the same year. All right, so we started
with the impeachment.
That's right. Okay, so that's crazy. We of course we're not going to do the constitutional section today because we're almost out of time.
Sure,
but
I got a couple stories I want to share too.
Impeachment. I mean, there's only been 3 people in all of our history, 3 presidents that have gone through that ever, and we got to live through one of them. In fact, we lived in our lifetimes, we've lived through 2 of the 3, which is pretty amazing. COVID-19, obviously, coronavirus rocked the whole world. We're still dealing with that. We've got the travel bans that happened here. We've never seen anything really like that before. The lockdowns, unprecedented, never seen that before. We've lived through that. We've got Joe Biden campaigning from his basement and then actually supposedly winning the election. And we've never seen anything like that before. Kamala Harris, first Black vice president-elect. That's a big deal. Black Lives Matters. Black Lives Matter. One day I'll say the name right, BLM. Restaurant closures. We never saw that before. No. School closures. Never saw that before. Elections completely looking like a third world. Censorship with Hunter Biden, riots all over in our major cities, Antifa and wearing masks all happened here in 2020. Completely unprecedented. Never seen anything like that before.
No, boy, you nailed it on the head. Yeah, what a weird year. And it seems like a lot of people expect that tomorrow morning we're going to wake up and everything's going to be different.
That's the thing, right? It's like, is that really true?
You know what? I just hope it's a better year than 2020. Could it be worse?
Could be. It's possible. Yes.
It is possible. And it's a terrifying thought.
And that's why during this time, there are all kinds of blessings that are happening all around us that we really need to be focused on. So that's really the last thing that I had, which is the blessings that have happened this year that we can all be focused on. I listed out some that I have. I'm healthy. My family is healthy. No one's gotten COVID in my family so far. I've got investments that are still doing well throughout this whole thing that we've done. I started a Bible study with my mom and my stepfather that has gone well. I've read some amazing books. I've gotten to spend time with Anne-Marie more than at any other time, and we're more madly in love than we've ever been after this is our 20th year of marriage. Got to read a whole bunch of good books. The sun is still shining. God is still on the throne. And we've got plenty to look forward to in 2021. And I really believe the best is yet to come. Oh. And I think we should just focus. I mean, we hear all this bad news, but there's way more good that's happening in the world right now than there ever will be bad. And I think that we sometimes forget and take for granted the good things. But it's like, for instance, if I dropped a big stone on my toe right now, all I'd be thinking about is, I wish my toe didn't hurt so bad. Yep. And I'm not in any pain. I'm in perfect health. You take that away and you lose pretty much everything.
You're
But
right.
it's those kinds of things we just got to embrace.
I completely agree. I woke up on Christmas morning in such a good mood, and you got nothing but the whole day ahead of you, especially since most of us weren't doing any traveling,
Right.
and we certainly didn't. And it was one of the best days I had in a very long time, because I
I love
just
that.
was going, like you said, I was going over all the things that I was so grateful for. And boy, what a way to start your day. And it's hard to do that today because we're obsessed with negative news. We are just obsessed with it. And
Really are.
it's kind of like news and marketing kind of joined together. And the thing is that negativity, it's why every newscast starts with the most horrific thing that they can find to grab your attention. Now, why that is perfectly normal, because we seek out the most negative stuff because at the core of our beings, we want to be safe. So we want to know what the dangers are so that we can avoid them and deal with them, and so on. So it's perfectly natural, but with our media being so expansive now into blogs and YouTube and everything else, that everybody is doing this and everybody is playing up the negativity so much. But then you got COVID. I mean, hard to put a positive spin on COVID, but there has been a lot of good to come out of it. Lisa and I working together in this house all day, every day has been a blessing that we didn't see coming. We thought we were going to kill each other, you know? And no, she's going, now that they're getting vaccinated, we're just talking about this. She's probably going to have to go back to work a great deal of the time. But one of the good things that come out of it is a lot more people are going to be working remotely now, which never would have happened without COVID.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing. And I hope that she gets to work from home a lot more than we think. I
I
do.
bet you she will. I
I
bet you
hope.
she will. I think a lot of people that are administrative in nature are going to be able to do a
Yeah.
lot of their work from home. We've proven that. That's the one big thing we've proven, is that a lot of stuff can be done from home. And if you're working from home, there's a lot that you can do on a personal level. Just like you can throw some laundry
Yeah.
in the laundry in the washer or whatever while you're doing
Yeah.
stuff. Or I
A lot of
do
it.
that. It's we've talked about from the beginning, it's a new paradigm, and some good has come out of that for sure.
Mm. So I got these three guys living in my house through February, and they're young guys. They're in their early 20s. And two of them work for the government out of DC, but they work remotely. They're all from Seattle. And the third guy he was looking for a job. He's a software engineer, and he just found a job. It's based in San Francisco. So they all work. Look at the way they're growing up. They work in states across the country and can live wherever they want because they work
Yeah,
remotely.
that's a new paradigm for sure.
Isn't it? I think it's
Yeah,
so cool. I
yeah, it
really
really
do.
is. It
Yeah,
really
so it's a
is.
whole new day and age. Want to wind up with a couple of really great stories you're going to love. And
Great.
I can share my screen. So you see this one, the homeless
Oh
man?
yeah.
Yeah, this homeless guy in Atlanta rescues these animals at a shelter. This is December 28th. What is that, yesterday? Day before? Day before. Um, he's been homeless since he was 13 years old, and he has this pit bull that basically they house him every night. So he comes to the shelter every day to bring his dog out and to spend the day with him and takes him back at night. And so this shelter caught on fire. The kitchen was on fire, and there's a picture of it here. And he went in and rescued every dog and every cat out of there. There's like a
Oh
total
my gosh.
of 12 of them. So he went back several times, and he says, I was nervous as hell. I'm not going to lie. I was really scared to go in there with all that smoke, but God put me in there to save those animals, he told CNN. If you love a dog, you can love anyone in the world. My dog is my best friend. I wouldn't be here without him. So I knew I had to save all those other dogs and cats there were as well. And it goes on to say that many social media users have tried to donate to Walker because he is a homeless guy. He's been homeless since 13, and he's not accepting
Wow.
offers. Quote, we're in contact with Keith, the homeless guy, and working to assess his needs and wants, the shelter wrote in an update. He is not currently accepting offers of help, but we will continue to stay in touch with him and share as much as he will allow. And so that's I don't know. That's interesting. I thought about that a lot, and I think, well, this guy's been homeless since he's been 13. That's a total of
13.
40
Wow.
years. Well, think about it though. He's off the grid.
Yeah.
What is $50,000 going to do for him? Is he going to buy a house and have a mortgage and pay utilities and taxes and all of that? He doesn't do any of that right now,
Hmm.
and he's probably happier than all of us. Uh,
Maybe.
it
Maybe.
could very well be. So really, what are you going to do? And think about that. You give a guy $50,000. What is he going to do now? True, he could remain homeless and just go out to eat, but I'm sure he's got his routine, soup kitchens, whatever. He's got his dog. I think he's got everything he wants. So God bless him. Just hats off to him for saving those animals. Love that.
That's some good stuff right there. I love it.
Wait till you hear this one.
Okay.
Do you see this? Woman's act of kindness saves families
Yes.
from eviction. Okay, this you are going to love. And this was came out today. This came out this morning. You were a half hour late, and I discovered it during that time.
I love it.
Yes. So an act of kindness by this woman in Tucson, Arizona has created rippling effects for other families. Nora Briggs says she reached out to the Salvation Army to see how she could help a family facing difficult times. And she said she wanted to help a family keep their house. And this is, I've said this before, Merle, we don't talk about that enough. During this COVID time, so many people have become homeless. So this lady has the means, and she paid several months' rent for a single parent with 4 children. She went even further and bought them Christmas presents as well. And quote, "It just gave me so much joy and excitement about Christmas since I can't be with my family in Virginia. It was just fantastic to have this happen, that she was able to help this family." Now, her neighbors, Patricia Waddle and Lynn Fashi, felt inspired by the kindness, end quotes. When we heard Nora's story and felt her joy really about giving, it was very exciting for us. The 2 women followed suit and paid rent for another single parent also facing eviction. The acts of kindness don't stop there. Briggs' family in Texas contacted her Salvation Army and paid the rent of someone in her community. So this just rippled across and has affected so many different families. I just, it warms my heart. And
I love it. What a great thing to hear at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of the year and
this
during
year
the time,
in particular,
we're just so obsessed with other horrible news stories. That's the point.
I saw something good. I'm just going to read it. Someone found some good in 2020, and this is from Town Hall. It reads, there was news the world yearned for all year. 2 COVID-19 vaccines were developed and brought to market.
Oh, right.
Africa was declared free of wild polio, a disease that until recently still infected thousands of young children each year. Our response to all the lockdowns and restrictions on socializing was a turbocharged rise in rescues of adoptions of animals. In the space of a few months, 4 Muslim countries, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco, all agreed to normalize relations with Israel. This all happened in this year.
Wow, those are great stories.
Yeah, so there's sunlight.
Yeah, and I just read yesterday, I think it was, that AstraZeneca just got approved in Britain, their vaccine. So yet another one came out.
Amazing.
Britain is supposed to hit the 75% threshold of for the herd immunity, something like by spring or something like that.
I'm very hopeful that 2021 is going to put this whole COVID-19 in the rearview mirror. I have some reservations about it because there's been some disappointments along the way that you never know what could happen, but it just feels like I know it's not going to automatically go away, but it just feels like there's got to be some daylight here. I think we're seeing daylight at the end of the tunnel.
Well, what worries me is getting back on top of the economy, our debt. That worries me to no end.
Yeah, the fact is we've, the stimulus package. when Trump took over the presidency, we were already $20 trillion in debt. Now we're $27 trillion in debt. That's huge. And when we take a look at our unfunded liabilities, like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, we are actually hundreds of trillions of dollars in hold, to the tune of something like $130 trillion. What that means is that we have to pay all of this money, but yet it's unfunded. We don't know where we're going to find that money. And so, and at the same time, through the stimulus package, even though we don't have the money to pay for these things that are important for me and you and our families and our posterity, we're giving trillions of dollars away to other countries. And who's going to pay for that? Well, my kids are going to pay, and their kids are going to pay. We're just racking up debt for people that haven't even been born yet. And how unfair is that? Can you imagine if when you were born, like, here you go, Barry, you actually now owe $2 million.
Right.
Now go.
I know.
But that's happening.
Ridiculous. All right, let's wrap this up. And everybody, please make it a great 2021. And go to over50startingover.com and sign up for our email list. Get all of these notes and links and everything dropped right in your email box as it happens. And please like and share our stuff on YouTube. That's the only way we're going to grow, because YouTube otherwise don't like us too much, really. All right, buddy. I'll see you next year. Love you, buddy.
See you on the other side.